Welcome back to Learning Tableau with Mahesh. So, in this section, we are going to talk about blending. Blending and joins are different in the sense that blending is where we are going to have data from two different sources like Excel and Microsoft Access, or SQL and Microsoft Access, or two different sources of data like Oracle and Teradata or something like that we are going to try to combine in Tableau. Whereas joins is where we are going to try to make the data into one using simple conditions. So let's start with looking at the data in Excel. So we will open the Superstore, same data set that we have in Excel. So we are going to say Excel. We are going to have this store and we are going to use orders data from there. And then let's go to this is our data source. And let's go to our sheet. And the other way to add a new data source is just by clicking this plus icon with the cylinder. So I'm going to click that, and this time I'm going to try to get a new access data file which I already have. So I'm going to browse for my access data file in on my desktop. I have saved it on my desktop. So similar to the Superstore, I have a coffee chain data set that I already have. So the moment I click OK, it says that the coffee chain drivers needs to be installed. So let's see what is going on. Okay, so I can say copy, and it basically gives me a path where I can go and visit the coffee chain drivers. Let me go there, and let me make sure I have all the recommended drivers. So let me go here, and I'm using Windows. So let me see where is my access database. I can quickly search for ACCESS Microsoft Access. So it needs Access database engine for me to be used. So what I'm trying to do here is show you how to kind of use Microsoft Access engine. So we are using a 64-bit in this case. So I'm going to say okay, next, and I'm going to download the file. So as we just saw, so this is how we download different drivers for different databases before we install. So in this case, it should be a straight simple move. So similarly, if you are connecting to Teradata or any other SQL databases, we are going to first install the corresponding drivers. So I'm just going to say next. I accept by default all the conditions, and then I'm going to basically talk about this. I could have talked about this way back in installation, but it would not really make much sense. So if you look at it right now, it says we have already completed. So let me shut down it, and let me try to click OK. See, right now the moment I clicked OK, after I install the driver, I'm able to get the new coffee chain dataset. So if I look at this coffee chain dataset query, let's see what data it has. It has something like it has data where it says what is the margin, what is the sales, what is the total expense they had, and what is the different type of regions they have. So looks like coffee chain, the market data is where we are having a lot of data, where we have central, east, west, and south, and we kind of can have it as our join condition. So but as I said, I wanted to show you the installation first, and now let's go back to our data sheet. So right now, if you see, there are two data sheets right here. One is a coffee chain and the other one is orders, but these two are not linked to each other. So the condition I'm trying to see here is, let's say the superstore wants to take over coffee chain, or the coffee chain wants to take over the superstore. We are just trying to see if it makes really any financial sense from business perspective to do that. So as you can see, in coffee chain, we call the data market as our region. In my, let's say, let's drag my market right there, and let's say I have something like sales. So if you can see, I have like the each market, each region or each market size is having different sale. So there are different ways I can join these two data together. If you see the one where I have clicked the where I have the checkbox, that's the primary driver of the entire table. So let me do one thing. Let me click on this, and rename this to region, because as I told you earlier, one of the ways you can match data together is by making sure they have the same name. So the moment I click that, see what happens. So region comes right here, and let's go back to order, and if you can see this clause that you see, which means I have a region, I have a link. So the data between these two data sets is being, this two data sets is being used by the link. So now let's say I pull the sales from my orders, which is the superstore right there. So if you see, this is very interesting. In one single view, I'm getting the sales for my store. This is my coffee, this superstore, and this is my coffee. So let me rename this. This is my superstore, and this is my coffee. So as you can see, we are now combining two totally different sets, one from coffee and one from stores, and giving you a totally different perspective of how the data is. Just by looking at this, we can see that in central we have been east, south, and in central we can just say that we have been using different different we are almost doing double, so it might be make more sense for them to club together, but does it happen in other regions? So let's go and see if there are any other data types that we can kind of match. So let's see if I drag the date onto here and see what happens. So if you can see, looks like the reason, because we are not really having any matching, so that's why it's kind of blowing me off right here. Fields cannot be used in the data source because there is no relationship with the primaries. That's correct. That's the reason it's kind of telling me, hey, I cannot really show you whatever you're asking me, because the moment you put in a year, I have no way to match back to my reach to the other data set. So that's what we were trying to do earlier. So let's put it back, the region right there. And so right now, if you can see the data sets, what we are trying to do right now here is, when I pull in the state, if you go back to here, and now we are not linking by the region, but we are linking by the state, and we know like how we are doing in different states on the superstore, and how we are doing in different states across. So this is how you can kind of blend data when you have multiple data sources together. There are the other way you can kind of establish that relationship between two different tables is by going on to the, I think, worksheet, and then you can run. Okay, let me